This example takes the document class a little bit further, and we actually create a interactive object. So I have created a AES file called cartoon eyes, and at first it might look a little bit scary here. There's a lot of code to it, um, but most of it you've done before. Uh, it's just making an object, dragging it to this, putting it on the stage, and then after you place the object on the stage, we make it draggable. The actual file, the FLA file, is called document class 2. It's the second example of the document class. What I've done is I've modified the stage size. So I go up to modify document, and I see that it's 400 by 300. That's what I have changed it to. I've kept the frame rate to 24. I've changed the background color to black. Two layers. You'll notice there's nothing on these layers. In this one, I do have something in the library. So I've created a movie clip called My Eyes. If I select that in the movie clip, you'll see it's just two eyes, two cartoon eyes. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and a double click on this, not go inside of it. So I'm going to now go inside the movie clip and check and see how that's built up. So I just double clicked on it, and we see that on the stage, there's really not much going on. It's just some circles with a dot in the middle, and I tried to make it look a little bit cute. However, there's one thing worth mentioning, that is there's two frames in here. So one frame is with the eyes open, and then the other frame is with the eyes closed. So this is going to be frame 1, and then frame 2. Frame 1, frame 2. Okay, so that's inside the movie clip called My Eyes. I go back now to scene 1. And the other thing of importance here is that if you right click on this and go to properties, and this is in the library now, you'll see that I've given this a name called My Eyes. It's a movie clip type, and I export it for ActionScript in frame 1. Just note, you can actually export things for a later frame if you want. They don't always have to export in frame 1. When you're doing game programming, sometimes you don't want everything to export in frame 1, because it would take a while for your game to start if you have a lot of things exporting out. But oftentimes, if you don't have a ton of stuff to export out, it's okay to go ahead and export in frame 1. Okay, I give it the name My Eyes, and then the Flash display movie clip, of course, is created when you select these boxes. Okay, so just note it has the name My Eyes. Now I'm going to come over to my cartoon eyes 2.as file. I created this really the same way that I just did it in my last example. I created a package, and then a class, and then a constructor function. So you always want to start small, just like with the tracing. Start very small, and then add on to it as you're going along. So I'm not going to recreate the entire code here for this one, but I will walk through how it was developed. So first of all, I created the two files and I saved them out with their appropriate names. Make sure you save them to the folder that you want to use first. That's an important step. Now, in my document class, I'm back at the FLA file now, and I go ahead and reference that AS file, or actually, again, I'm referencing the class, but that class is inside the AS file. And it's going to be called Cartoon Eyes 2. Okay, so it's the same name as the AS file, but really what I'm referencing right here is this public class right here. Now, remember what I said last time, that a document class, and that's what we're using here, is a document class, is going to always be a type of sprite or movie clip. So here in my comments, I explain that we're importing a class for movie clips and events, and so that's these right here. Now note, you can also use the asterisks. I'm sure I've mentioned this in other lectures, and this would work fine. You could do that. It might be a little bit slower on the import, so that's why you don't do the asterisks for all normally. But if you forget the name or you forget the type of class you want to import, but you know in a general sense what it is, you could often do that. You could actually import all Flash, and it might take a second for a couple seconds longer for things to get going. But I just note that is an option. Okay, we come down here, we create our public class, and this will usually be a public class because you're going to want to reference it outside of the of this particular class. It's going to extend movie clip, again taking on the properties and methods of a movie clip. This is the name, And I know I'm being so redundant here, but this name does need to be exactly the name as the AAS file. And then your constructor function also needs to have that same name. Okay, usually your constructor function is going to be public. You'll often see people putting a void here, and that's going to be if it doesn't return anything, then that's perfectly acceptable. That's fine to have that on there. Create an instance of the My Eyes movie clip. Now, you remember My Eyes is in my library for the FLA file. So down here, this is really the same that we've been doing as if it was on the timeline, as if this code was on the timeline. You're going to create a new variable. I just call it eyes. It's going to take on the data type of my eyes being the movie clip in the library. Now, we're going to scale it. So this is, if you're fairly new to programming, you might take a second to realize what's going on here, but logically you'll probably just look at it and get it. You'll see that the scale x is equal to the scale y. So it's just saying that it's all going to be point A. It's just a way of making it be equal here so that they're both going to be 80% of the size of the original x and y value. Okay. You're going to center it on the stage. This is probably an important thing to take note of because when you want to center something on the stage, which is a common thing to want to do, if you're doing it from an AS file, we're going to reference this class and then go deeper inside of it to the stage from within this class. So now we're at the stage, and this gets us to the root timeline. Now from there, we can get the stage width. So you could actually do a trace, and you'll get the actual stage width of your document. So if we want to set it to 1/2, we're going to multiply it by 0.5. So now eyes will be halfway over on the stage. And then this one will make it halfway down on the stage. Okay, so now we've set the eyes, we placed them in the middle of the stage. Now, okay, so we have to actually use add child now. So it does actually, so the user can see it as part of the display list. So now I use add child eyes. So again, eyes has been an instance name of the object my eyes. Okay, now this here tells it to go to and stop frame one. Do you remember that inside my eyes there's 2 frames? So we want it to stay at frame 1 until we have action take place. Okay, we've just added some event listeners. This is stuff we've done before. When you click on it, it's going to run the drag eyes function. When you release it, it'll run the stop drag eyes function. Come down here, we start drag, and we also go to and stop frame 2. Here, when you release it, you stop drag, and then you go to and stop frame 1. Okay, so that's the essence of it. Probably the hardest part is all these opening and closing curly brackets and trying to make sure that you get that right. But that's why you want to start slowly and slowly add to it. Don't just go through like a book, writing a book. You want to create your package and then create your class and then create your constructor function. Do those three things first. Make sure they have the appropriate name. Test, 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 and then slowly add your code in and make sure you're constantly testing. Okay, I go ahead and, speaking of test, let's test this out. So here's my eyes that have been added to the stage. So it's come through, it's done all this work, it's added the child eyes. This is now an instance name of eyes. And we're going to go to and stop frame 1. So it's sitting here on frame 1. When I click it, the mouse down, it'll start to drag it and go to frame 2. And it goes to sleep. I'm going to drag this up, release it, and it wakes up. Goes to sleep, drag it down, wakes up, and so forth.